Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Nurse Akosia, and today I want us to talk about the 90-day study plan for the Nclex. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so as I promised you, and with the post that I sent out with the responses that I had, most of the responses were for me to make a video on the 90-day study plan for the NCLEX. And I'm actually making it with regards to how I studied. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give you the 90-day plan based on what I did and what actually worked out for me, okay? So, as we all know, the 90-day plan, a 90-day is like a 3-month study plan. So I'm going to go ahead with this month by month so that you will be able to understand it, and it's going to be much easier for you, especially if you do have a 1-month plan. So we're going to start with the first month. So with the first month, I started with Nurse Achieve. I don't know how it is working at this moment, but the time that I was studying, which was back in 2020, it had a 1-month free trial, and I believe it's still like that because I told my friend, and it looks like it worked out for her. So they have a 1-month free trial, and you can just sign up for that. What I did was something that is going to be less expensive, because if you don't take your time, if you don't take care, you're going to spend a lot of money on the preparation for just the NCLEX. And at the end of the day, let's say if it doesn't go well for you, that's going to affect you so much. So yes, you have to make sure that you don't spend too much, but you're able to study effectively so that you will be able to pass the NCLEX. The first month, as I said, I started with Nurse Achieve. And with the Nurse Achieve, I added Registered Nurse RN. You can click on the link above to go to Registered Nurse RN on YouTube to watch her videos. I do not have any partnership with her. However, since it helped me, that is the reason why I am recommending that you also use her to assist you. So what I did, and what you can do, is going to study based on system by system, okay? And you list them all out, and then you start by the ones that you do not know, and then you move towards the one that you do know. And the ones that you do know, you think you do it on a frequent basis, you have to do a refresher on that as well. Because let me tell you one fact, nursing, the studying, the books and everything is the same, but nursing, I would say it is heavier in the United States. Yeah. If you do not study properly, if you do not take your time to get your content very properly, it's you're gonna fail. So that is how it works here. Even though is the multiple choice, which is MCQs, that is the trickiest part. One thing you have to know is when it comes to the MCQs, that is where you can actually fail. You can get a 0 on an MCQ. What I did and what I am recommending that you do in the first month is when you go to Nurse Achieve and you study the system. So let's say you go there and then you study the nervous system. Anything under the nervous system, you study, and then you go to Registered Nurse RN, and then you listen to the same topic under nervous system, and then you get your note. Make sure you have your notebook, and then you get your notes. You write down whatever you're studying. You write down whatever you're studying in your own words and your own understanding. Okay. Here we don't do chew and pour, as we say back in Ghana. You have to know what it is, and that makes it easier for you to pass the NCLEX. So go to Nurse Achieve, get the system that you're studying on. If it's respiratory, COPD, you list out all the conditions in respiratory. Let's say we take COPD, you write down COPD, you write whatever you have on Nurse Achieve, or you can just go ahead and just read it. Then you go to Registered Nurse RN, and then you listen to her lecture on COPD, take your notes as to how you understood or how it's going to work best for you. And yeah, so I use your highlighter, your pen, whatever you want to use, so it makes it easier for you to be able to study or to read the notes that you have put out there. And Nurse Achieve had the computer adaptive test. I don't know if they have the unlimited version now, because I learned that it got to a time that they were giving you only two chances. That cat that they have actually helps you because it makes you get a feel of how the Nclex work. Cuts off at any time, as in if the system feels like you are making progress, or if you're failing, then it cuts you off based on that. It scores you. So when it scores you, that is where it will show you that you passed, you fail, or is a partial or something. But then if it's not there, they do have Q banks. You can use the Q banks according to the system. You can use the Q banks to test yourself, and that actually helped me. Their Q banks, their cats, they're all very, very difficult. When you compare it to the Nclex, it's very hard. So if you're able to make it on Nurse Achieve, then trust me, you're doing really great, because when I was doing it, it discouraged me. But that is how I did it. So every week when I'm done with whatever topic that I studied through reading Nurse Achieve, and then through listening to Registered Nurse RN, I do a Q bank or the CAT. And you have to make sure that you do at least 70 questions a day. So that is basically for the 1 month. In the second month, what I did was, that's when I started with UWorld. UWorld, they have a 3 month plan, they have a 2 month plan. And so since I had the free trial for Nurse Achieve for 1 month, the remaining 2 months I purchased UWorld. So it's up to you if you want to go ahead and purchase UWorld, but I purchased UWorld, and the 2 months it came with, I think, two assessments. I don't remember very well, but I think it was two assessments, and I only did one of them. However, you can choose to do both of them depending on how you think it's working for you. So I used UWorld and Simple Nursing. You can click on the link above to access Simple Nursing YouTube. What I use Simple Nursing for is I used them to study my farm. The pharmacology, they made it so simple. And so I used them to study my pharmacology. And back to my notebook, I write down everything that I listen to on the YouTube channel. So with a farm, I wrote down whatever that was needed. And then, yeah, it's how I understand it and how it's going to make me remember. So I wrote down all the per the lecture. I wrote down how it's going to help me, how I'm going to understand it. I use Simple Nursing for the farm, and then with the U World, I did the Q banks. And with the U World, Q banks is also a little hard. It's a little detailed compared to the Nclex. The Nclex questions are very vague. So, for example, U World may say a patient came to the ER complaining of abdominal pain and was instructed to sit down. um, After this patient sat down, she was short of breath. What will the nurse do first? That's how your world goes. But with the NCLEX, they're not going to give you any scenario. They're just going to go like, a patient came in with shortness of breath. What will the nurse do? That's it. So that's that's the difference between UWorld and the NCLEX. However, UWorld, I used their rationales. Their rationales is really great. So make sure you read the rationales, understand. And if you want to go ahead and take notes for the rationales, it depends on how you study and how best you're able to grasp. But I didn't write any notes from UWorld. However, I read the rationales to make sure I understand. And if there is something in there that I'm new to or something that I feel I'm gonna forget, I write it down. I note it down so I do not forget. And then in the same second month, I used Mark Klimek. Mark Klimek, what I did was when you go onto Google and you type Mark Klimek Yellow Book, you should be able to get a whole lot of it. Some of them you can download, some you can't, but just be ready to be studying online because this whole thing is online. And so with Mark Klimek, when I listen to the audio, what you have to do is you listen to the audio, and then while you're listening to the audio, you use the yellow book. The yellow book is basically what he was talking about in the lecture. So while you're listening, you will be following with the yellow book. He has a blue book. I never used the blue book because it was too complicated for me. So I only used the yellow book. And then, apart from using the yellow book, I also wrote down what he was talking about. You know, there's a thing where if you write down certain things, it sticks more, it sticks better than just listening. So I listened to Mark Klimek, took some notes, and then also listened with his yellow book. And that's how it helped me because my Climax simplifies a lot of things like the prioritization and delegation, and also when it came to the farm in psych. And so there are a whole lot of things that Mark Clement actually talks about that actually helps. So that was basically for this second month. And in the second month, every single day, I did some Q banks. I did some questions, and as I said earlier, you have to make sure that you do at least 70 questions. Okay. And also always remember you have to choose one day out of your week. I chose a Sunday to rest your brain. Rest your brain. Don't overstudy, else it's going to make it like it's going to be a whole lot of things in your head at the same time, and sometimes it's going to affect you. You might even end up forgetting everything. So always choose one day in the week. I chose a Sunday. And actually, on my day of studying, if I realized that during the week I was lazy and I couldn't do up to 70 questions, then on the day that I'm supposed to rest, let's say if I did 40 on Thursday or Friday, then on my day that I rest, I do the remaining 30. It's like I was just counting. I just wanted to do 70 and that's it. So yeah, you do at least 70. Don't do too many questions. I would say 70 to 100. Then the other thing that I used, the other resource that I used was Sundays. With Sundays, I didn't have to read the entire book because it's a lot. What I read in Sundays was, I didn't even take notes on that. I may have jotted some few things down. I read the various ethnic groups and how things are done, understanding diversity and all that. Because when you come to the United States, you're going to meet a whole lot of people from with different backgrounds. So you have to know how some things are tolerated in one ethnic group and how it's not tolerated in another ethnic group. So you know how not to offend your patient. That is what I read about. And also, I read about how to handle disasters. Back in University of Ghana, we actually had a course that actually teaches how to handle disasters. And it's beneficial right now because here in the United States, the kind of disasters that happen here, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, and all that, you have to know how to go about things. Even though the hospitals have their policies and how you're going to go about everything, you still have to be prepared mentally. You have to know that these are some things that you have to do when things haven't started by the hospital yet. So protect yourself and everything. And with Sanders, so after that, what I actually use Sanders for is for the nursing skills. The nursing skills, that is where in the Nclex is going to be the drag and drop. So the drag and drop, you're going to make sure you know. In Ghana, we used to call it the procedures. Here is called the nursing skills. So you will have to go through, let's say, an example is how to give medication through a PEG tube. Yes. So that is basically what I use the Sundays for. And when you go onto my website, I have the link below. You will go through and you will find that I have put out the page numbers to Sundays. I actually use the 8th edition. So if you're using the 7th or any other edition, I'm not sure where the pages, which pages have those skills. However, with the 8th edition, I put out the page numbers where to find everything and to just read it instead of going through the entire book. But if you feel like you want to go ahead and read the entire book, that's up to you. But that is actually what I did. So by the end of the second month, what I did was with the U World, I tested the assessment. They had two assessment. I tested one just to know where I'm at. So when you test their assessment, they're gonna give you a score, and then it gives you a feedback that if you're ready or if you're not ready. So that is with U World. With the third month, what I did was basically to continue with U World, and then that is when I started with Archer Review. And then also I purchased NCSBN assessment. They have a different thing on NCSBN. NCSBN has an Nclex review, which comes with reading and then doing some questions. That's not what I'm talking about. The NCSBN assessment is just assessment. When you pay for it, I'm not sure how much. I think it's like $135 to $140. But then I did it with my study buddy. She signed, she logged in, she created an account and purchased it. And then we split the amount into half. The assessment, they come with two assessments. So she did one, and then I also did one just to save money. So the NCSBN assessment, this is how it works. What I heard is it is past questions of the actual Nclex. And trust me, for me, I think it was harder, way harder than the Nclex, but you never know. We all have our individual tests to take. So with the NCSBN assessment, you do it and you have to agree that you're not going to send the questions out. Actually, when you take it, you don't even remember the questions anyway. So when you do it, there is no such thing as rationales with them. When you take the test and then you end with the test, it just goes off and there's no rationale for you to review or anything. When it cuts off, what I heard is if you get 50% and above, then it means you are ready for the NCLEX. So I did a little bit of U World and then I switched to Archer Review. With Archer Review, their questions are as vague as the NCLEX. They just go straight to the point. However, their rationales, they're a little bit behind. So what I was doing was I read the rationales regardless, and I still go to U World to read the rationales. I stopped doing the Q banks in U World. However, I was still reading the rationales because there are things that you can go about reading and watching all kinds of video, but you will not be able to get exactly what you're looking for, and you might find it on UWorld. So I was just reading their rationales, and then I was doing the Q banks with Archer Review. Also, I continued with Mark Klimek. I kept listening to his audios and then following up with the Yellow Book, as well as writing the notes and reading the notes and everything. And then about 2 weeks to the time, that is when I stopped completely with UWorld. I just used the Archer Review, and then I also was listening to Mark Klimek, and then that's when I started using REMAR Quick Facts. With REMAR Quick Facts, you can click on the link below, you go to my website, you can purchase it on Amazon, and it's more like a revision thing. So it had one part, I don't know if she has a new version, but what I did was I had one it has one part that has all the questions, and then one part has all the answers. So I was going through that with my study buddy. We cover the answer part and then we ask the question and then we try to answer. And if we're wrong or if we don't know anything about it, we just write down the topic and then afterwards we go and then read about it. So we were just revising just to make sure we were able to remember everything. And it really helped. So a week to the Nclex, I did more Q banks with Archer Review. I listened to Mark Klimek again, and then I read my notes. All the things that I pasted in my room, I went through it. So 2 days to the NCLEX, I took the NCSBN assessment, and then I found I got 61%, actually brought the anxiety level down. So after that, I started reading my own notes. I didn't do any Q banks again the day before the NCLEX. I didn't do any Q banks. I just kept reading the notes that I took myself. And then everything that I posted in my room, like the lab values and a whole lot. I had a whole lot of things pasted in my room. I I just went ahead and read, revised, went through everything, and then kept listening to Mark Klimek. And so on the day of the NCLEX, I didn't read anything. I didn't do any Q bank. I just went to the center, and then I even got there earlier and they asked if I'm still ready to take it. And I just decided, oh, yes, I want to do it. So I just went in there and I took my test. So with a study plan, I made an NCLEX study plan, and I am going to upload it on my store. I will put out the link, and you can purchase the study guide. It's up to you. You can choose to purchase the study guide, which is not expensive. And so you can either purchase, or you can just use this video to guide you, or you can use both to guide you. And also, if you watch out for my posts, I posted an NCLEX review book that is free up until April 1st. You can go on, click on to my website. It is free. You can just download it up until April 1st before I put a price tag on it. So just go ahead and grab your copy, and always leave a review if you think it was good for you. So yeah, that is all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, kindly hit the subscribe button. And if you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for the support, and have a great day. Bye.